Are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming out our lungs. Hey, are you listening? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you listening? Or do you just not
Well, hey, are you listening? This is a podcast exploring the past, present, and future of Christian music. My name is Joel. I'm here with my good friend Brandon, and we connected over a mutual love of some particular artists, but also have kind of different tastes when it comes to what we listen to. And so we get to experience some new stuff from each other while inviting some friends along for the ride. Brandon, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good today.
That's wonderful to hear. I'm so thankful. Brandon, we have a friend with us today. He is one of my friends, and I'm really thankful to have him on. You guys may know him as the pastor of Life Community Church in Braintree. He's an all-around great guy. Please join me in welcoming my good friend, Jon Wilson. Jon, what's up, man?
I'm very good. I'm awesome. That in case people don't know, Braintree is up in Massachusetts. Like, am I the first Northerner on this podcast? I mean, maybe one of the guys was born in Connecticut, maybe or something. We need to represent the Northeast a little bit. So I'm excited to be on this podcast with you guys. It's great getting a chance to hang out with you today.
I'm excited for that too. People are tired of listening to our accents, and so it's great to have something different on. And yeah, man, just pumped to have you on. So Jon, you and I met because I through pastoring our church, we were looking for a connection and partnership with a church in the Northeast, and I went on a few vision trips actually, but ended up getting the chance to meet you and kind of felt like we had similar hearts when it came to ministry and what God was having us kind of do in our communities. And so, yeah, we got the chance to connect and then partner. And so our churches have partnered together for the last four or five years, something like that.
Right, yeah.
And so we've gotten to see each other quite a good bit over that, which has been really fun. So it's been awesome getting to know you. And then one day we randomly found out that we liked a ton of the same music, which was really exciting. So I'm super pumped.
It was almost scary. I remember like when we first started talking, we're sitting at a restaurant in like the shadows of Fenway Park. And I remember being like, wow, you guys like have used the same language in your church, and we talk about the same, we like the same things. And like, this is almost scary how much I feel like you're already a friend of mine the first time we met.
Yeah.
And it's been a blessing to come down and see you in Charleston a few times, have you guys come up here a few times in the summer. And it really has been a two-way partnership that has been a blessing for me personally as well. So,
yeah, man.
Now to be on this, I'm going to admit, guys, I'm going to fight just about anybody that says they're a bigger fan of the show than me. I've every episode, and I feel like this is like a dream come true that I get to be on this. This is I've reached the big time finally.
I feel like this is a rare opportunity for us to actually have a conversation with someone who's listened to every episode, Brandon. So yeah, what do you want to ask Jon in a situation like that? Like, do you have any questions for him?
Jon, what would you say is maybe, does anything come to mind as a moment you were listening and you thought, yeah, that's right, someone's saying it. And one time where you looked and you just wanted to throw the phone across the room?
Well, I remember it was maybe the first episode ever, honestly. And I think Joel brought up MXPX, man. You were like, I haven't even heard of them. And that was when I was like, oh, I need to get on this podcast and talk some MXPX 5-iron or something. Because that was what I grew up with for sure.
Jon, do you know who I saw in concert last night?
No.
MXPX.
MXPX. I was sure that
they played in Charleston. Crazy.
They played in Charleston last night?
Last night.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I went with like 7 guys from our church. It was such a blast. Brandon, I couldn't talk into it because
I don't know that public shaming that
it was promised to you. That's so funny. No,
That
he had important things going on. Something about
that
a
sounds
wedding
like amazing
anniversary.
show.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
incredible. It was
But I
incredible.
will also say, I love Brandon. I loved when your wife got on and talked about Family Force 5.
Hmm.
Because I loved Family Force 5. I've been to multiple concerts of theirs. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I love, I don't know if I got it in on one of your mailbags or whatever.
Hmm.
You were asking about like favorite like Christmas albums.
Hmm.
Family Force 5 Christmas album is one of my favorite albums. It's not streaming anywhere. It's one of those. I know you guys have talked about like some of these things get lost in the
Hmm.
Hmm.
over the years. The Family Force 5 Christmas album is not streaming anywhere, but is really good. You could get it on like YouTube or like I bought the CD like years and years ago.
That's,
Um,
yeah, we talked about that. That was on like the short list of Christmas things we were going to review.
Mm.
But I got to the point where I was like, all right, Joel, if you want to go search on YouTube for a while, we can
I
find
know
it. But
that was the problem. But so for sure, I can connect with Joel over MXPX, but Brandon, you and I and your wife, we can connect over Family Force
well,
5 all day.
so
I
quick,
love that for you
quick
guys.
question before we bounce into
Just kidding.
the next stuff. So I feel like for me, it was a big swing and a miss because what I've learned is Dance or Die for a lot of people is like the best. They think is top tier Family Force 5. Whereas for me, I feel like it's like there's probably 3 of their releases that were better. So for you, like Dance or Die, do you feel like that is like the pinnacle, or where do you rank it? Just like thinking about it.
Yeah. Remind me, is that Country Gentleman is on Dance or Die?
No, that was Business Up Front, Party in the Back.
Oh yeah. So the Dance or Die is the one that's their second one, I think
Hmm.
then, right?
Yeah.
For me, I do like that. It's the one I knew the best.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that like it's the pinnacle of their musicality. It's it's the album that I know the best.
Joel,
Because I rated that album higher than Brandon did
Joel
when we
still,
reviewed
yeah,
it.
he thinks it's funny that I talk about, man, it's such an amazing band. I love their music. And I'm like,
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah. I felt that was funny too. I remember being there like, this is your time, dude.
This moment to shine.
I know.
Oh, good grief. Yeah, that's really fun. Well, man, we're just pumped to have you on. Tell us a little bit for you. How did Christian music kind of enter into your world? Like, how'd you get engaged and involved in it?
Again, I'm just gonna bring it up again and again, probably. Being in the Northeast is just different, man. I grew up just south of Boston, basically lived here almost my whole life. Um, so there just weren't a lot of options around. I actually remember, so my mom loved Keith Green back in the day. You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
talked about Keith Green. I still think, just nostalgia wise, if I was to answer the question, who's one person who's no longer performing that I would want to see, I think Keith Green would be my answer.
Mm.
He was dead before I was even born, but there was something about that, and so I kind of grew up. My mom could kind of introduce me to Keith Green, but this goes to your thing, Joel. My first time ever at like a concert was seventh grade. I went to the Great Escape, which was a week-long camp for middle school kids.
Mm.
And the worship leader for the week was Rich Mullins.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
jealous right now.
I know. I know. I've been waiting to tell you that. That was like my introduction to Christian music.
Oh,
Was
man.
1994 or so, Rich
Yeah.
Mullins.
He would be my Keith Green in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I kind of was like, oh man, like I think I like this. And then but there, like around here in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, there's no Christian radio stations up here. I mean, K-Love didn't exist until like 2 years ago up here, right?
Mhm.
Like there were no radio stations playing Christian music. I actually remember I went to college down in Orlando, Florida, in 2001, and I remember seeing billboard signs. That was the first time I'd ever been to Florida. One of the first I've ever been down south.
Yeah.
And there's billboard signs for Christian radio stations. And I was like, that exists? I literally didn't. I was 18 years old. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that Christian radio music would be on, or Christian music would be on the radio. That seemed
Yeah.
like a foreign concept to me. So it was only through live music, and honestly, live music didn't come up to New England very much. Very few bands played up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
So, like you guys were talking about Winter Jam and Furnace Fest, and like, dude, Winter Jam never came to New England. That they never came this far north. Maybe they made it to New Jersey or something. I don't know, but like, never up to my area. So it was kind of hard to find Christian bands. There was one festival that played every year. It's called the Inside Out Soul Fest. They hosted it up in New Hampshire. It's one of those you like camp on the side of a mountain. And we
Hmm.
went 3 or 4 times when I was in high school. And that's where I got introduced to a lot of bands. It's actually the first time I saw Supertones. I saw Five Iron Frenzy. Actually, one of my favorite memories of that was Reliant K. Reliant K was on a little side stage before they got big,
Yeah.
and a buddy of mine and I were like one of I don't know 20 people like watching
Mm.
Reliant K play this side stage, and we were like, dude, these guys are awesome. And then the next year they were the high headliners,
Yeah.
right? Like the next year they were back and they were on the main stage at the prime time, and like we just saw them blow up. So it was stuff like that was cool. So that was it. Another one, Joel, I think you might be a little jealous of. Back in the day, like talking late 90s or
Hmm.
early mid to late 90s, the House of Blues in Boston actually used to be a blue house. So it was a super small venue in like Cambridge,
Cool.
and Switchfoot played there.
Oh, nice.
I got to go see them maybe my sophomore, junior year of high school with a bunch of friends, and it was awesome. I mean, there was
Mm.
like 200 people there. We were like right there. And then they did what they often do. John Foreman came out after the show and played like
Yeah.
the park. Dude, it was
So
as
good.
like a 16-year-old, I just thought that was like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So it was very different. I didn't grow up with Petra. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I remember that was even like Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith, like I wasn't really introduced to a lot of that, even though that would have been my time frame. I just didn't really know of them
Yeah.
until I kind of started learning about them later on. But it was really the kind of the rock, punk rock, and eventually ska that was like, this is so different. I have never heard of anything like this. I'm hearing these guys at concerts, or they're coming to little venues. There are a few clubs that, like I saw Five Iron several times
Hmm.
in high school, and they would kind of come up on these tours, and so, but it was like smaller venues, and there wasn't there was nobody was playing. Just recently, Brandon Lake came and sold out the Garden, the Boston Garden, like
Hmm.
15, 20,000 people at the Boston Garden. But that never happened back in the 90s. Like that
Yeah.
was, you didn't have people doing that. So that was kind of it. It was just a very different way of coming about music. And then I'll say, so that was high school. And then I was a youth leader for 6 years from 2007 to 2012. And
Hmm.
so that's when I got into Family Force 5 and some of those other things at that point,
Hmm.
where the teens in the youth group that I was at, they were bringing music and like, hey, can we play this? Or hey, can we go to this concert?
Yeah.
And so we go to concerts
Hmm.
like that. Skillet. I was a late adopter of Skillet. I actually loved Skillet, but I didn't learn about Skillet till one of the kids in my youth group brought this album in, and they were like, "Oh, dude, I love this band," and I was like, "Okay, let's
Mm.
play it." So, yeah,
That's really cool. Yeah, it's so cool getting like a different perspective from what we were used to, because I
Hmm.
feel like when I was growing up, like half of the radio stations were like Christian stations.
Hmm.
And yeah, at least back in the day, we had like probably three or four different Christian bookstores that we could go to
oh yeah,
and buy music.
yep,
And of course today there are
Hmm.
none. But back then it just seemed like they were everywhere. And we had so
yeah. That
much
was another thing.
access.
Finding CDs.
Yeah.
Brandon, I've heard you talk all the time about going to a store and just
Hmm.
loving the CD. It was hard. Like I remember going again, we'd go to Soulfest and I would try to load up and buy 7 or 8 CDs at the concert because I didn't know that I could find them anywhere else. Like
Hmm.
they weren't easily accessible in stores near me. So that was like a big deal when I could do that. Yeah.
Until that whole thing, the internet became a thing. We
Right. That changed it a lot for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, it makes things a little easier. Cool, man. Well, so today we're going to be talking about and covering an album by the OC Supertones, Chase the Sun, which I think
Right.
is their third studio record. And so excited to talk about that. John, that's one of your records that's up there for you. And so
Yes.
I'm pumped to get to dig into that a little bit. But before we get there, let's talk about what's in the news. And we actually have Cameron from Tooth and Nail News, who is here with an update of what's going on in the world of Tooth and Nail News.
What's in the news? What's in the news?
Hey y'all, this is Cameron from Tooth and Nail News, here to tell you what's new in the tooth and nail world. This month, 90 Pound Wuss dropped their previously unreleased track, The Pollutant, on streaming services. Following up, released their new album, Reimagined Volume 1, exclusively on Bandcamp. He is Legend launched pre-orders for their sophomore album, Suck Out the Poison, on vinyl. Zayo teased a new pressing of their self-titled album. Tooth and Nail signed a new artist, Gracie, and she released a few singles. 68 announced their farewell tour. Goaty Hook announced an album playthrough show for Sumo's surprise. Unwed Sailor announced his new album, High Remembrance. Fine China launched their 2 Tooth and Nail releases on vinyl, and released I Felt Called The Complete Sessions. Dunner, which features Jason Dunn from Hawk Nelson, released their debut album, Louder Than Luck. JCHC Fest revealed their full lineup. Sent by Ravens released their second EP on vinyl. Crux teased something new is in the works. Jeremy from Earth Groans shaved his mustache. August Turns Red announced their new album, Season of Surrender. Blessed by a Broken Heart dropped their Tooth and Nail debut on vinyl. Langzell teased something new on the way. And Tim Mann of Focus teased new music of some sorts. That's all that's new in the Tooth and Nail world for now, but to see these headlines as they drop, follow me, Tooth and Nail News, on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks, y'all.
Well, thanks to Cameron for joining us and giving us an update of what's going on. Before we press further, let's jump in and check the mail.
Check the mail. Check the mail. Who, what, when, how, why? Check the mail.
All right, so in our mailbag today, friend of the show, Andrew. I feel like most of our questions have been coming from Andrew so far, but Andrew asked this. Why are Christian concerts so expensive these days? He works with students, and he said, taking my youth group to shows is super difficult because they're so expensive. Why do you guys think these concerts are so expensive?
The man. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's along with it goes along with all concerts being that way. I mean, unfortunately, you can't go to a concert anywhere. I think so. Again, as I was saying, there's not a lot coming up. We wanted to take our kids to see Forrest Frank. He's coming up here, I think, in a little bit, couple months. And I looked online, tickets were like $150.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't. What is that all about? That was just disappointing because again, I would love to introduce my kids, and they like Forrest Frank, and I was just like, why is this happening? And I think it's unfortunate that the record industry, the music industry in general, I don't know if it's a Spotify thing or like a streaming thing. So they got to make their money in other ways because they're not selling albums anymore. But every concert, I don't care if it's Christian or not, is just really, really expensive to get to. I know Ticketmaster got sued or something, right, for all these fees and stuff. I don't know if that's going to change things eventually, but yeah, I think it's a real problem because you're right. Like we used to go to concerts. We would take our kids to like 3 or 4 concerts a year. Anytime anybody, again, Christian bands didn't come to New England very often, but if they did, like we were on it, whether it was like Third Day or Family Force 5 or Skillet or even if it was somebody like a Michael W. Smith, like we were bringing our kids to these concerts. I don't know how you could do it as a youth leader anymore.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna blame Spotify for this one. I feel like they've wrecked the music industry. Because artists don't make any money from streaming. I mean, you have to have a significant amount of streams to actually have a decent amount of income coming in when it comes to this. And so I feel like that is problematic because, and not that it was perfect before, but because, labels were taking their cuts and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not even sure how all that works in streaming now. So if these artists are on a label, like how much of a cut does the label get of like the streaming revenue that's coming in? But the money's really limited. And so because of that, touring is like the way that these artists make money. And so that naturally like drives up ticket prices because they don't have a stream of income over here anymore. This has to be the stream of income. And so, they have to charge a lot more money. And probably even sadly with that, like merch is the place where they really make money. So
I think that it's like at some point someone's got to take like a hit on it, and I think that's kind of the issue is that like ticket prices. I've always heard the argument that like if you put your ticket prices like for Force Frank, if you put them for $20, you're gonna have people go buy them all up, then like resell them for like jacked up prices.
Yeah.
So then it's like in that area, and I think that one way you maybe fix that is like you put it like at a church. But then I think about like if we were going to bring an artist to Church at Cane Bay, it's like, for us, we don't have a budget just to sit there and say, let's write a $5,000 check. So it's like, say our budget's $500 to bring someone here. Well, now all of a sudden that guy, he's got to pay for his gas to come down here. He's got a place to stay. And I think that's just the problem. Like I went to a concert. I think this was pre-COVID. And I was talking to the band just kind of about like money wise and all. And they were saying that whenever they go to a venue, the venue's like, we have to clear this much money. So they said there's been venues where they don't sell enough tickets. So at the end of the night, they come to them and say, all right, what's your merch sales? We're taking like $300 from that.
yeah.
So even for them, like they weren't making anything. And I think even like Stephanie Smith's talked about how years ago they were on like the Winter Jam tour as one of the opening bands. But like, and I remember seeing this. They had like a little thing that said like gas money. And I remember laughing at it, thinking, "You're on Winter Jam. Why do you need gas money?" But she was like, they got paid next to nothing to be on those shows. So they were like, for them, they were even struggling just to make it Winter Jam to Winter Jam.
Yeah, that's exposure. Right.
So like, So I think that's just the issue is that it is high, but where do you fix that? Because I used to think artists like Forrest Frank, and I mean, like, I don't know him, so maybe he is just making a ton of money off of those prices. But you also, at the end of the day, it's like how much of that money is making it. So like if they have like $1 million gate there, how much is he clearing after like you pay like his crew, his team, like the opener or whoever. Like to me, that's where kind of like it becomes like if you were to tell me that he's making $500,000 off of that, I would think, I think as a Christian band, you need to like Family Course 5. They talked about their CDs, how they were like they can't tell people to like go like get bootleg CDs, but they were like, our goal isn't to make money, our goal is to like win people to Christ. So he was like, I think it's amazing when people make their own merch or when they like buy your CD and give them to 20 friends. But I mean, also like people have to make a living. So
it's definitely complicated. I think that it's easy to like point at an artist and blame them for this situation. Yeah, because we have no idea how much it costs them to be in a venue or everything that's involved in that. But I will say there's a difference between expensive and like exorbitant. And I do think that there are some artists. I mean, Taylor Swift's the easy person to pick on when it comes to this. Like ticket sales, $2,000 a ticket. And there's no way that she needs that much money. This is why she's like the first like billionaire in the music industry. Like she's just taking all this money home. And you walk in Target and you're going to buy a Taylor Swift vinyl and it costs twice as much as every other vinyl that's on the shelf. Like that stuff's just ridiculous. And so I do think that like artists have to work and think about their fans as they work through this, but yeah, they've got to make money.
I think
so.
$40 for a T-shirt is too much money. I think that I'm gonna change it from the ticket price to the merch booth, because I think that once after I've paid like my like $70 to go to a concert, that makes me angrier when I go to like the merch booth. And I'm like, well, you gotta get something. And the stickers are $10 and the T-shirts are like $40. And I'm like, you can print it on a cheap material. I just want a T-shirt. You can.
But with your argument, like that really is where they're making money is in the merch booth. And so yeah, I mean, what's the markup on a T-shirt?
I think that a good like trade is, I've seen artists that have moved towards like the VIP thing, where it's like you pay like say $40, $50 or $100 or whatever, and you get to have like a little acoustic show beforehand. You get a guaranteed meet and greet. Like, to me, that's a way that you could solve a lot of those. Like a Forrest Frank, if you were to tell people pay $50, then maybe that carries a little bit more of a burden versus the people that like can't afford that ticket.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think part of it is that, I think you guys already mentioned it too, like the secondary market doesn't help either, because you do places like a StubHub or whatever, that they're bots that buy up 1,000 tickets or whatever, and then them to 2 or 3 times the price, and so the artist isn't even getting a lot of the benefit of that, right? Like I don't think Forrest Frank is necessarily charging $150 for a ticket. That's all I could get sold out, and so now if I want to go, I gotta pay these crazy prices. So there's that too.
Yeah.
it's
For
the
sure.
robots.
Yeah.
We'll blame
Robots.
it on AI like we do everything else. So, well, I don't think we've solved the problem, but at least we talked about it.
Yeah, we rambled.
So, Andrew, thanks.
We've acknowledged it is a problem.
Yes. Andrew, thanks for the question. Don't forget that you can reach out to us with your own questions or ideas or comments for the podcast at heyareyoullisteningpod@gmail.com. All right, guys, we are going to play a game.
Let's play, it's time to play a game. Let's play, it's time to play a game.
I know John's really, really excited about this. We're going to play a round of CCM 20 questions. And so I have an album in my head by a specific artist, and you guys get 20 yes or no questions to help you hone in on the album that I am thinking about and considering. And I will say that you are free to ask a specific name of an artist, and I will give you a yes or no answer. But you only get one guess at the album, and so make sure that you're locked in and ready to go when you get to that point. So, got it? You all ready?
Well, I'll do my best.
All right, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. All right, I'm pulling up my little page of info so I have answers to your questions. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. Is the band fronted by a female?
We're back to it. No.
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 Is this a solo artist?
No.
Have we mentioned this artist yet on this podcast or like in this episode?
Have we mentioned them on this episode? No.
Okay.
Is this band still currently making music?
From my understanding, this band is currently making music. Yes.
Okay.
But I do think that they were on a bit of a hiatus.
Okay.
Was this band, are they most known for their work on Tooth and Nail?
No, that's 5.
Okay.
Okay. So Brandon, you asked if they've talked about it on this episode. Have you reviewed one of their albums already on the show?
No.
No. Okay. Jeez.
Are they most known for their work on Go-To Records?
No.
Getting into murky territory now.
I was hoping this would be a little easier, Brandon. So now I'm struggling.
If you don't start guessing, John, it's going to turn into rapid fire with me, and that's when we're going to get like, is the album red? Is it over 50 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer those questions.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen this band live in concert?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say, I feel like you guys are thinking, oh, this is like pretty obscure, but maybe it's not.
Okay. They're currently working. Are there bands that you know of that are currently working on stuff that might be coming we've talked about? Yeah, we're kind of talking about a ska band. Would you say they're like a punk band?
No.
Not punk. Okay.
Would you say they're a rock band?
Yes, that's 10.
Ooh, not punk. Okay.
Rock is such a broad category.
I
But
know.
yes, I would say that about them.
Okay.
Is it Leonard Skinner? No, I'm joking.
How many? We got 10 questions left here, Joel.
Yeah, you've got 9 questions and a guess.
9 and a, oh gosh.
Would you say that they were like mainstream? And when I say mainstream, I'm talking about like they are hit on the radio, like Christian or non-Christian, but like if we heard their name, we would be like, yeah, we know them.
Yes.
Okay. Is there an animal in the name title?
No.
Animal? Are there
Now I'm trying to think through what you're thinking of.
is there a number in the title? In the name of the band? There a number?
There is a number of sorts in the name of the band.
Okay.
I'm just going through like 1 and 2. So I'm trying to think of how to add, because when you say like it's a number of swords, I think like I don't. You can tell me if this uses up another guess or whatever. Is there like 7 letters and like a number, or is like their name like a number?
I'm not really sure what you're asking me.
Like, are we looking at like a Starflyer like 59 type thing, or like I think there's a band called like 68 or something. That's what I'm asking. Is like, is there like
is
a
it
word?
just a number?
Yeah, because when you said like there's a number in there, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is it like 2ish or something is their name?
All right, so clarify your question. That's as a yes or no question, and I'll answer it.
It's like a jibber. What is a number? Is is there more than just a number?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what I was worried about, Brandon, that I would be an anchor here for you or on a sinking ship. This is not my.
This is usually when
work
someone steps in and they go like, "Oh, solid state," and it's like, "Yes." Then it's like, was there a eagle like on a shoulder?" And they're
You
like,
guys,
"Yeah."
you guys know this band.
Does it? Does the name start with a consonant?
Yes.
Okay, and narrows it down to only 21 letters.
That was helpful.
It would really help me if you said no to that one.
I'm trying to think through, like, if I can steer you in a direction that would be helpful. But I think you need to think through that question of, like, is this like a mainstream, like if we heard them on the radio, like that whole question. Think about that.
You said there weren't on Goatee or Tooth and Nail.
Nope.
Were they on Forefront?
No, that's 15.
This is John's time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling the pressure, and it's weighing on me heavily right now because I don't know that I have another. Again, I'm assuming when I think of mainstream, and I'm just speaking out loud here, Brandon, the mainstreams that I was thinking would have been things like Sixpence that, had a hit on the radio up here. Jars of Clay had a song, DC Talk.
I would say too, like, don't necessarily think like secular mainstream, like
Right, yeah.
Christian
I'm just
mainstream.
trying
Is
to
the
think about-
band 11D7? Look on Joel's face gave that one away.
He even starts that.
No, I don't think that's a band that I would consider to be like a mainstream Christian band.
Yeah.
No, that's 16.
We will probably
12 was 11D7. 12-8. 12 and T8.
Yeah. We got three guesses left. And I don't.
You have
Yeah.
three,
So you haven't taught. I'm trying to
you
think
have
about all the
three
bands.
questions and a guess.
Who are the big bands I'm trying to think about that in Christian music that you have not talked
It's
about
a
already?
great thing to think about. Who are the big bands that we
Because
haven't covered yet?
You've already covered a lot of bigger bands. What again, one of the bigger bands from my time that hasn't been covered is DC Talk. I'm trying to think about other larger, but they don't have like a number in there.
What if we gave up two of our guesses and you told us what the name started with?
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
There are going to be people listening to this like, guys,
Is
they
You
know
haven't
what it
talked
is.
about-
is the
You
nut?
haven't talked about Casting Crowns yet. That doesn't really have a number in there.
Yeah.
Like, Joel
Num-
probably would never do anything related to Casting Crowns.
Numbers, guys, numbers.
So they got to have that.
is the number at the beginning of the name.
Do you really want to ask me that?
I'm desperate at this point. I'm taking the lead on this.
We got to think about pretty large bands that probably everybody's heard of that we're not thinking.
I think you should start naming some of these bands out loud to get the conversation going. I feel like I'm helping you a lot here.
That's what I'm trying. 1 crowns, 2 cents.
Remember, number of sorts.
Sort of. It doesn't mean it's like a number. Yeah.
4th, 5th. Is there? Well, there's a band called Seventh Day Slumber, but I think
Slumber. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure
You're
there's
so close right now.
there's huge bands that we've heard of that I should be thinking of right now. That I'm
9.
making fun of for not knowing. I've been so excited to come on this podcast, and now I feel awful about myself right now. Like I will never get invited.
We're
back.
not even gonna get to the review. This is gonna be an hour and a half of us trying to think of a band with a number in it.
Yeah.
It was not fronted by a woman.
You
You
need to keep
Oh,
going.
oh. What about Third Day? We haven't talked about Third Day. That's a 3 in there. There's not fronted by a woman. What about Third Day?
Is that a question?
What albums do you know about Third Day? Can we shoot?
You can ask me the band.
How many questions
How
do we
many
have
questions
left?
do we have left?
You have 3 questions and a guess. So
Okay.
you can ask me a band.
Is it Third Day?
Is the band Third Day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That only took
Brandon, a second
17
ago, you
questions.
literally said 4th, 5th, 7th.
What the heck? All right. So, dude, I really like Third Day. I could not tell you the name of any of their albums.
Okay, we're
So let me
getting here
think.
now.
I got to think about this.
I'm trying to think. Is there a van featured on the front of the album?
No.
Dude, this is our last question.
Now you only have one question left.
Okay. So the ones that I remember, I mean, I had the Offering CD, but I don't feel like that would count because that's like just worship music. They came out with the Revelation. Remember that one? I think Revelation was
There's
one.
Come Together, Revelation,
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah, Come Together. That was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Because Come Together's they're on a mountain. Revelation, there's like a mountain.
It's like Red, right? Isn't Revelation like I just have a member of it like that. Okay.
There was one that came out in between that would Come Together and Revelation. No, that was one of the Conspiracy number 5 was earlier. Then yeah, there was like Move. Then there was another one.
I mean, we should just do one of the ones that we know. If we know Come Together, we know Revelation. Those are 2 that we know. We should just guess one of those.
We get one more.
You get one more question.
Then the guess.
We have one more question.
One more question, then a guess.
Okay.
Was this album released after 2005?
No.
It was before 2005.
So it's either Conspiracy number 5, Come Together, or they had the Worship album they did.
Yeah, Offerings was that. They had one, I think, wasn't it called like, I think the song on there was like Time or something like that. I don't know if that was the name of the album. That was probably pre-2000, I bet. I remember some of the songs up there. I don't know. I mean, we keep coming back to Come Together and Conspiracy number 5. Revelation was after 2005. I don't know, but it was. So I think you go with one of those.
All right. Well, it sounds like Come Together is our guess.
Brandon, I was hoping this whole time that you were actually going to ask me the question, does this album have a red cover?
So is it conspiracy number 5?
It's conspiracy number 5.
Oh man, the one time where if you asked if it had a red cover.
If you
Oh
hadn't
my
wasted that 11-7 question, you would have had another question and probably
Got
gotten there.
Well, thanks for the fun game.
Yeah. Well, you guys were super close. Almost made it. Almost made it.
Oh man, it was Wire, Wherever You Are. I forgot all about those ones.
They got a lot of albums.
They do indeed. Yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently are back together and working on new music right now. So
See, that kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
When I was trying to think about bands that maybe I didn't know that. That's cool. All right.
indeed. All right. Well, guys, thanks. I'll say too to our listeners, if you have suggestions for CCM tuning questions, you can submit those as well. I've tried to take it easy on these guys every time, but I know there's some really obscure stuff we could get into that would make this harder. So, all right. Well, guys, let's talk about what we've been listening to lately. What have you guys spent some time listening to?
For me, I've been listening to it's a new band called the Sagehans on Velvet Blue Music. It's Josh Autumn and Frank Lenz. They released their single "Dumb and Drummer," and so, but it's them and a mix of just a bunch of different musicians, including one of the musicians from oh man, why am I blanking on it? Sufjan Stevens.
Nice.
So it's a good mixture. It's just a lot of, I don't really know how to describe the music, but it sounded cool, and I feel like Velvet Blue's putting out a lot of good stuff. So I was excited to listen to it, and I'm looking forward to the full release.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
That's
John,
cool.
what about you, man?
Well, since I've been listening to the podcast and putting all this music on Spotify that I haven't heard in forever and listening to it again, my Instagram apparently is listening too. And I got an ad on a band came up and it said, if you like listening to Reliant K and Hawk Nelson back in the 2000s, you're gonna love us. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I should try them. Their name is Witsit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. I think they're pretty
I've heard
small.
of them, yeah.
You've heard of Witsit before? So they do the cover of Dive, Stephen Curtis Chapman's Dive. I like their cover of that,
Yeah.
which is kind of a cool one. And so they sound a lot like Ryan K. So I've listened to some of their stuff, and I don't know anything about their band, but I've listened to some of their stuff because Instagram told me to. And I thought that was fun. What I'm listening to most right now, I think you guys have mentioned it, probably not somebody you'll review on this show, but John Guerra. I am like
We
in a
will.
full-
We will review John Garrett.
Oh, good. I'm in a full-on John Guerra mode right now. Like, got a chance to go to a pastor's conference a month or so ago, and he played there. And I was, oh my goodness, I just wanted to soak it all in. So it was great. So got that his Jesus album on repeat just all the time right now.
Yeah, my album of the year last year was that record. So good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my number one.
So good.
It's so good. I've been diving back into some old stuff. So one of my favorite bands, I've talked about them before on the show from high school, was the band PFR. And so they're working on a new record right now called The Target and the Arrow. But I think we've talked before about how they have like a sort of a lost record because they got signed by Steve Taylor to Squint after they broke up. They kind of started writing some things again, like a few years down the road, and Mark Nash, their drummer, was working for Squint as their A&R guy, and he told Steve Taylor one day, he's like, "Yeah, me and the guys from PFR are like kicking around some new music," and Steve Taylor was like, "We need to release it on Squint," and so they did. The problem was a week after the album came out, Squint folded as a label, and all of the albums got pulled from store shelves. And so this album was only released for 1 week in the world. And if you happened to buy a CD when it was out, then you had it. I did, because I was a huge PFR fan. I bought it the day that it came out. I recently sold it on eBay for a pretty good amount of money. But but it was lost to the world, and so they also did a Kickstarter campaign to remaster it and re-release it, and so I got it on vinyl, and it's beautiful, and it's got bonus tracks, and they also released like a commentary of them like listening to the album and talking about the making of it, which I've spent some time listening to. So I've just kind of done a deep dive back into that record, which has been fun to get back into. So can't wait to find out about this new album that they're making. So that'll be fun. All right, well, let's get to the main event. We are here to talk about all things OC Supertones. And so we'll transition and talk about this record. So I'm going to give us a little bit of a bio for this album, and then we can kind of do some opening thoughts, maybe what our connection is with the Supertones, and then kind of go from there. But so by the time the Supertones started this album, which came out in 1999, they were coming off major success with their second record, Supertones Strike Back. They built a national following, started crossing into mainstream exposure, getting played on MTV, sports broadcasts, whatever. They recorded this record, Chase the Sun, at Sound City Studios in LA. It's the place where Nirvana made Nevermind, and it was produced by G.G. Garth Richardson, who was recording a lot of what was happening in the rock world, bands like Rage Against the Machine and stuff, in that day. And this album, when it came out, charted on the Billboard 200. So just a little background info. This is their third record, and yeah, what's our history with the Supertones?
Well, for me, I found them, I would say maybe 2006 or so, 2007. That was right around the time that I was finding a lot of bands that were just disappearing.
Yeah.
And so I would find them and I'd be like, this is a really cool band. Then I would see, oh, they're never going to play music again. And so there's a lot of like falling in love and heartbreak with bands during that time. But I got there, I think it was like Revenge of the OC Supertones. It was like a black album with like red writing or something. So I did that, and they were one of those bands that I think I listened to a lot of their like greatest hits things, but there weren't a lot of like albums of theirs that I was just in love with. It was a lot of like, man, I love 20 of their songs, but they're from like, 4 songs from this one, a song from that one. So for me, there really wasn't like a album that stood out. It was more of just, oh, I like the band. So
Yeah, that's cool. John, what about you?
Yeah, they were one of the ones that I remember seeing live. They showed up on stage in bright orange jumpsuits, like they had just gotten out of jail or something. And I remember being like, who are these guys? Just bring a lot of energy. Being a teenager, just wanted to jump around and dance. And so I loved that. I remember buying this CD, the Chase the Sun CD, when it came out, and listened to it a lot. Probably, honestly, probably looking back as we get into some of these songs, like there's a few songs in here that kind of started shaping my theology a little bit on just the questions that they wrestled with and their own faith. And so it definitely was something that I played on repeat a lot, and just both for the energy and just the fun of it, but also lyrically, there were some things I connected with as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever it was. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I'm a little older than both of you guys, and so I did find the Supertones as they were getting off the ground. But I think I found Five Iron Frenzy first. They were kind of my first ska that I got into, and that shaped a lot of like what I loved about ska. But I saw this Supertones record, their first album, come out, which I think is just called The Adventures of the OC Supertones. And I picked it up, and man, I loved that album. The production on it is horrific. Like, it's horrible. it's probably the worst sounding Tooth and Nail release of all time. But the songs were so good, and so I loved that record. And then when they came out with their second album, Supertones Strike Back, I was in on that, because it's like, all right, here's this band that I love, and now the album actually sounds good.
Yep.
So this is a win, and there are songs off that record that I still love. I will say, by the time Chase the Sun came out, I probably was moving out of like listening to like more traditional ska music, and so I think I bought this record, but I don't think that I spent a lot of time with it. I still gave lots of ear time to Five Iron, because Five Iron was a band that changed and adapted. I feel like a ska was like fading out. They instead of fading out, they like adapted a little bit, and so I kept enjoying what I was hearing from them. And so I didn't give this record much of a shake in the beginning, and so it's fun for me to go back and listen to it and spend some
Scott
time
Scott
with
had a high height and a very short window there. There was not a long window of time there, and I just happened to be going through my high school and early college years at its peak, and so it was kind of a time for me that I connected with it. But
I will say I did see them live. Me and some of my friends drove to Louisiana from Mississippi. They played at Louisiana College, and it was the Supertones, and I want to say Jennifer Knapp. Like, it was a really interesting lineup. But I back then I really liked Jennifer Knapp too, and so it was kind of a win. I had a cool moment. John, you're going to know what this is about, and Brandon's going to have no idea. But a guy walked out on the stage to introduce the Supertones, and he said, "Hey guys, I'm Combat Chuck, and I'm here to let you know about one of my favorite bands, the OC Supertones." And then they came out and played, and Five Iron Frenzy has a song called Combat Chuck on their first record about this guy that loves Jesus. And we freaked out because we were big Five Iron Frenzy fans. And so I chased that guy down, and he had Combat Chuck stickers. And he gave us like stickers. And then he just kept hanging out with us for like the whole night, which was really awesome. And so that's something that like I'll never forget, is that I get to hang out with Combat Chuck.
Actual guy that inspired the song?
Yeah, the real Combat Chuck, which is really cool. And he passed away like a few years after that. I can't remember. I think I want to say like cancer or something, something just really tragic, but really cool guy, and was really fun to hang out with. So that was a fun memory of my Supertone show was that. So. All right, well, let's kind of get into talking about this album, Chase the Sun, by the Supertones. Track number 1 on this one is One Voice. What did you guys think about One Voice?
Well, in case everyone's wondering when this album was made, they say it right off the bat. It's 1999 and the stakes are high, right? That's how the album starts. So in case you're wondering when they made this, the first line of the entire album is the year. So I just think that's kind of a funny, it kind of puts them in a time capsule a little bit.
Yeah.
So you know when it is. But Brandon, I love, you always talk about like the order of the song, how they do things. I played baseball, I still love baseball. I think of albums in a very similar way, like I'm writing a batting lineup. The leadoff hitter should be fast, get on base, get me into it, get the lineup going. And I think that's what this song is. It brings energy. It's a good leadoff song. Like, it kind of gives me an idea of what the Supertones are all about and what type of music I should be expecting. Got some good horn instrumentals in there. And so, yeah, it's like just as a leadoff song, I think it's a good leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that it really like sets the tone, and like for you, if you didn't know what to expect, like you just were like OC Supertones,
got it.
what are they? Yeah, I feel like they like accomplished that. Because I mean, there are some times in this album that they kind of like detour. Like I think from what I would say is like that cliche like ska like sound, where you have some that's like, I think there was one or two songs there wasn't even like a horn on it. So I feel like it's kind of a misstep if you start with a song that like doesn't really feature the horns or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like they do that well in that the person already knows what to expect for the next 13 tracks, I think it is.
Yeah, I like this one. I will say I was immediately thrown off because if you've listened to their first two records, Adventures of the OC Supertones and Supertones Strike Back, I'm pretty sure both of those albums start off with a Metallica riff. And then launch straight into ska music. It's a weird thing, but they broke the cycle with this, and this album does not start off with a Metallica riff. But I wanted the Metallica riff. It's just a part of the history there. But no, I thought this was good. You find out quickly this is a really well produced album. It's the recording is solid. I liked that there's some like octave chords happening on the guitar, and so there were some like steps forward in like they're doing some things that like more traditional rock bands are doing just by adding in things like octave chords at this time. And I think that the message is great of unity and so I really thought it was a good, strong opening track for sure.
Now, Joel, maybe before we go into like the rest of them, so this one is on BEC Records. Could you maybe tell like the listeners a little bit about like when did BEC Records like come out, and what's kind of the difference between BEC and like Tooth and Nail? I guess just like in general, like if you see like them being sister labels.
Yeah, okay. So, BEC Records is basically a subsidiary of Tooth and Nail Records. And what happened eventually is that Tooth and Nail started out as kind of like the only this one label, and they started signing a bunch of different kinds of bands. You had your punk, your rock, your hardcore, all this kind of stuff. But eventually it became such a widespread thing that when Tooth and Nail made a decision to partner with EMI for distribution of their records, EMI was like, you guys are too all over the place. Like, can we like define kind of what these labels are? And so Tooth and Nail stayed Tooth and Nail, which is a little more punk, whatever it may be. And then they created a label called Solid State, which was for more their hardcore metal kind of stuff. And then BEC Records was formed as a subsidiary. And this BEC was distinctly like, this is for the Christian marketplace, and more like you can play this stuff on the radio, whereas a lot of Tooth and Nail stuff was a little too obscure for the radio. And so your artists were more forward-facing Christians, and this stuff is getting more radio play. Funny enough, BEC actually stands for Brandon Ebel Company. And so, yeah, he just named this one after himself.
Now, for the listeners, they think that was one of those funny things where it's like, we planned that beforehand and I throw it out like it's a spur of the moment. That was fully spur of the moment. So that was Joel looking over and being like, hey, Joel, I know you didn't plan for this, but can you tell us the history of it? So we move on to our next one, Hallelujah. Joel, what do you think about Hallelujah?
I was listening to it and I'm like, man, I don't remember this song. And I'm like, this is a really interesting song for this album. And so I did some research and figured out this is a cover. I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says, no, it's not a cover. And I'm like, but it has a different like author. And I finally convinced ChatGPT that this is indeed a cover. And so I feel like I'm doing some good in the world. But so apparently this is a cover by Frederick Hibbert of a band called Toots and the Maytals. And they're one of the first reggae bands apparently out there. And if you listen to a lot of early reggae stuff, there's like all these like Christian undertones to like all of it. But yet they'll still like do crazy songs too. And so I think that this was true of Toots and the Maytals. But when I first was listening to this song, I'm like, it kind of sounds like a VBS song. Like it's so like it's
Spelling of the, I'm like, why are they spelling out every word in this song?
yeah, I know.
Like,
I think that's
you
what it
learn how to
was.
spell? Like, yeah.
But then I got it because I'm like, okay, this is a cover, and it's a little bit of like it is a cool thing because ska came from reggae. It's an offshoot from this, and so it's like looking back a little bit to like the history. But I don't know. It is a little like too like crisp and clean for me, maybe. Yeah.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna keep the analogy going, old school baseball nerds would say your number two hitter should just be a solid person that gets on base and keeps the lineup rolling and isn't your power hitter, isn't your stolen base threat. And that's kind of what Hallelujah is to me. It just keeps it going. It's definitely slower. It's a different pace, which gives some variety to the album, which I like. But yeah, I mean, it's not a home run for me. It wouldn't be in my top 3 or 4 on this album, but I'm always happy to listen to it when it comes on.
I think for me, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't spell hallelujah as well. There's a lot of spelling to me.
Every other word in the song,
I
yeah.
was like, all right, come on. We could have had the hallelujah.
Yeah.
I think, I think learning about like it being like a cover and like the history of reggae, I think that makes me like enjoy the song more. But I think
I
that
didn't know
just as a listener, I feel like it's like if you're at a concert, I feel like I like when people do covers, but that's like you got to wait till like maybe like halfway through.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, it's like I kind of know what to expect with the Supertones, and I felt like I got hit with the second song of, oh, I wasn't expecting this. This is a lot. So I kind of found myself thinking, okay, when are we going to get to like the other stuff? So
Yeah.
I found it more of like, I didn't skip it, but I was like, oh, okay, like after this, we'll get, like we'll get back to the regular programming or whatever. That's kind of how like I saw the track.
Yeah. I get that. I'm kind of with you on that. One. So let's talk about track 3 though. In between, does this, Brandon, for you, did this like kind of bring things back up for you?
It's such a contrast.
Yeah.
I feel like the first like minute and a half of this is literally like covering all of ska. It's like you have these like rock guitars, and then it cuts right into that. I like the song. I think that it is like, I think if you're not familiar with it, it is kind of like, I don't know. Like, I guess it'd be a good question for y'all. Like, when you hear that, do you think that it combines it well, or do you feel like it makes like, because I think the knock on ska would be that like it kind of sounds like cheesy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that it complements it, and you're sitting there being like, this is awesome, or once it hits into the horns, is it kind of like, this does make it sound a little cheesier if you're comparing it to like the hard rock or like the more like rock based guitars?
That sounds like more of a technical question than I'm capable of. I'll tell you, I can dance to it, and I like singing it.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, it's a good number 3 song. It's like it comes right back brings the energy right back. I do think, as far as that, I totally understand. I just did a road trip, a 22 hours straight in the car with a bunch of other guys driving from Boston all the way down to Orlando for a conference, and I put on some Supertones for some of the guys in the car. We had a guy that's a lot younger than me and had never heard of the Supertones and didn't really ever. He was too young for ska music when it was that time. And I put this on, and he's like, "There is just so much going on right now. Oh, how to handle all this? It just feels overwhelming." I can totally see that. Like, I can understand how you can kind of feel like that, but yeah, I think for me, I enjoy that type of just high energy. And specifically, this is one I'm going to repeat this probably a few times today. But again, as like a 17, 18-year-old wrestling with who I was,
Mm-hmm.
lines somewhere between a saint and a sinner, and like I'm not who I want to be, but I'm not who I am right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm between that, like that hit home for me. I was like, I'm not who I want to be yet, but I'm not quite who I used to be. And I'm not a saint, but I'm not a sinner. So that just resonated a lot with me at that time. And so I think for that reason, it holds a little bit more of a special place in my life,
Mm-hmm.
just who I was back then.
Yeah, I really like the lyrics on this one,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe my favorite lyrics on the record.
Yeah.
I just love I love anytime that a song paints a picture of tension, that there's,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like there's so much tension in life and tension in walking with Jesus, and so I really liked that, this idea of the kind of the in between. To your earlier question, Brandon, you do get a lot of that in ska. That you've
Yeah.
got these kind of like blazing guitars and big horns, and then it drops to like one guy doing upstrokes on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A guitar. That's just a very normal thing. And so I did write down though, I love the big guitars at the start, and then I said I wish they had stayed
Yeah.
because I just liked them. I love the energy that's at the beginning of
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like this one a lot.
I think with them, like too, I don't know for you if y'all feel the same way, but like Five Iron Frenzy, but the more I've listened to them, the more I've enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for OC Supertones, like I don't know, for me, it's like I guess like it's hard to look back on that. But for y'all, do you feel like, or I guess like for John, like when you listen to this, do you feel like you enjoy this album like the same or like more than you did like back in like would have been like 99 or whatever when you first heard it?
I mean, the reality is I don't listen to ska music on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, so obviously not a cultural thing either.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say this is like st necessarily still holds up.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I guess, I mean, you guys have talked about this before, where I would get to like just the memory of it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
something like there's a part in me when I hear this song that I remember sitting in my room in my parents' house and like reading every lyric and like praying some of these words and like dancing to by myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those memories come back up to me, which makes it a song that I want to listen to over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Although I wouldn't blame anybody if they'd never heard it before and they're like, this is just a lot of noise. For me, it's not. Just because I cut my teeth on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle for me, Brandon, to like not always compare the Supertones to Five Iron Frenzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that too.
Just because I really do have such a deep love for Five Iron and can still listen to Five Iron and appreciate it, I think, almost as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And the Supertones, maybe not so much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That their music is simpler and more, yeah. And I think there's a great place for that, and I've enjoyed experiencing it for sure. But yeah. So, all right. What about track number 4, "Away From You"? This was I think this was one of the bigger singles off this record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What'd you guys think
And
about
it's a departure. It's very different than any other song on the album.
Yeah.
First of all, they have female vocalists,
Yeah.
and you get that like choir kind of thing in the middle
that?
there.
Yeah.
With the women singing, which is kind of the sweeping chorus, which feels very different. It almost had a little bit of like I don't know if it's because of the women. I mean, in a Gwen Stefani thing, I almost felt a little No
Yeah.
Doubt feel.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
that vibe a little bit,
Yeah.
like which you can make it seem like you could see why this might have been a little more of a radio success. No Doubt was pretty popular back at that time, and
Yeah.
get a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it, but that's kind of what I was seeing in there. It was definitely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's one thing I wrote down is the backing vocals. I really enjoyed having that come in, which I looked up. I didn't see who it was on there, but I think that's just nice because I'm trying to think in their stuff. I know there's like Toby Mac was on like guest on there, but it was hard for me to think of a lot of songs off the top of my head that like they've had guest vocalists.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of like a nice surprise because it's not a band that you're used to like having 6 people, guest on there. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little thing, but it adds a lot to the song.
Yeah. I like this. I like this one. Maybe the verses and stuff, not so much, but the chorus like feels really good to me and connects. And I honestly feel like it's one of the chorus on this song is one of the moments that feels really different for this record, but still ties in, I feel like, cohesively to the record. And so I think the chorus of this one is like one of my favorite moments on the album, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
I like that. The next song we have is Dedication. John, how do you feel about Dedication?
I guess I'd never heard of a song that kind of talked about this the way that they did. I, I don't know how old they were at this time. I know they were like 18, 19, 20 years old when they founded the band or they started. So maybe they're in their early 20s at this point with their third album. It just looked like a group that had been on the road a lot. It sounds, you know what I mean? They're saying, hey, we miss you guys. We're sorry if we haven't been around. It's hard on the road. So I love that. I mean, I can't, they definitely weren't writing it to me, but I felt like I was one of the fans receiving a dedication from them and like, hey, thanks. You know what? I do support you. And I am glad that I get it that we haven't hung out in a while. And again, it's again kind of like an easy kind of danceable song. It's catchy enough that it keeps your interest in it. So yeah, I'm gonna probably say the same thing. There are some songs I'll say are some of my more favorites, but I liked it, and I enjoyed the fact that they would even write a song kind of to their friends and family. I think that's kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I know like there's a couple of different bands that have written songs kind of like this, talking about like being on the road and all. And I think it's just cool. And I think it's a song that the older I get, the more I appreciate that, because I know for me, like there's been moments where like I've had an opportunity where I get to travel to like do something, and I find myself thinking like, man, like I enjoy the fact that I get to like be home every weekend and like have a church family and all. And I'm like, it makes me really appreciate that I'm not, every weekend in a different town, like visiting this place or having to like work and all. So I feel like the older I get, the more I appreciate songs like this. And I'm like, yeah, that for all the like fame and all and getting in front of 1,000 people every night, like there's definitely drawbacks to that.
Yeah. This is a good one. I made some notes that I like the heavier guitars that happen on this one. I do feel like it starts just kind of some of what I feel about a lot of this album, and kind of just some of the like sameness that can happen over an album like this, and the fact that their music is as simple as it is, that you've got these big guitars and the horns, and then you drop down and it's like a really simple kind of upbeat to it, that I think at this point I kind of was like starting to feel like, all right, there's a lot of this kind of similar stuff. But I did notice something that I thought was really fascinating on this one, at least from Apple Music, and I think it's there when I was listening to it. Is that, did you guys catch when they were like on the last section, he said, will you remember me, say 6-7 years from now?
Okay.
There was a 6-7 reference way ahead.
Way ahead of its
They
time.
knew.
So I don't know, a little prophetic maybe on this one. So yeah, it's fun. Track 6 is Grounded. Brandon, what do you think about Grounded?
This is like the OC Supertones I love. Like I love the like in your face and like the punk version of it. And I think that's because like that's the first Supertones I heard was kind of like that stuff. Like it was just very punk. And then you had like the the horns were more of like, I think like the icing on top of it. So when I hear this is what I think of when I think of like OC Supertones. And I think like ska music in general is more of like the punk side of it than I guess like the reggae. That because I guess that actually makes way more sense. Like since you said that earlier of it. So like I love this track.
Yeah, you're totally right. I love this track too. I almost equate this as like if the Beastie Boys made ska music. Like this is like I feel like it incorporates a lot of that even just the speed of some of the lyrics. I was never into rap music. I'm still to this day not very great at repeating lines. And I remember working so hard to be able to know every single word in this song and sing it fast. And it was like, you know, Toby Mac's rap and Jesus Freak and needing to know
Yeah.
word there. I kind of remember feeling that way about Grounded and like wanting to be able to sing or rap fast enough. I mean, this is obviously in a rap, but you know, it's a little quicker. And you get like the like Al Pacino hoo-ha in there, you know?
Yeah.
Makes it just fun anyway. Anytime you get one of those in there. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Grounded. I thought it was great. And again, just you know, cutting my teeth theologically, there's some lines in here that are pretty deep where he's talking about how he's staying grounded in his faith.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, I really like this one a lot too, and kind of like what you guys said, it reminds me a lot of like something off Supertones Strike Back, just a little edgier and so I really liked that it had the feel of like kind of the like more the rap singing off. I feel like on this album there is a little bit of a departure more just to like singing. And a little bit of a loss of some of the edge. But this song like ties all that back in. I like the attitude and the feel of all of it. I like the line, "How will you stand if you don't understand?" It's just a good
That's a good line. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed up to this point, though, I'm like, man, this could be a perfect song. It needs a bridge, and I'm
Yeah.
like, they don't do bridges. Like, there's not many bridges on their songs, and I feel like a good bridge, like, just takes things to a next level, changes things up, and I'm like, I want them to do a bridge. I just wrote that down as a note, like on this, because I'm like, this would take this song that I really like a lot to be something that I really love. But yeah,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Next one we got Sure Shot. Joel, did you love Sure Shot?
Sure Shot for me kind of felt more of the samey with like a lot of the rest of the record, and so I think the chorus was good, but I don't know, it just kind of felt like a little flat for me. I don't know.
It feels almost more like it's like an anthem, right? Like that's kind of how I see this as like, and again, I like that. Like when he's saying things like that, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this. He's kind of repeating himself. I find myself saying, I do too. Like so, I resonate with, um, you know, the lyrics in this, and I resonate with his heart behind it. Musically, I don't think there's much to it necessarily,
Yeah.
but it almost yeah, it's like an anthem for me that I'm like, yeah, I agree with this, even if musically there's a ton to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think did you give your thoughts on that, Joel?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Sorry. I was thinking of the next track because I was confirming something with it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's just like I think when I heard Grounded, it went back to, oh man, this is what we're moving into the side of the track, the album where it is like heavier. And then it felt like it was going back. So like at this point, it kind of felt like, okay, like the grounded things on this seem like it's gonna be like it's gonna be less of the album. It's more of the highlights than the like what you're getting with a lot of it. If that makes sense. A little more spaced out. So like I enjoyed it, but I think that it just like I think a song is gonna suffer when it follows the song like you love on the album.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
Makes sense. All right, track 8 is Old Friend. John, tell us your thoughts on Old Friend. This is a different one.
It is very different. My thoughts are a couple months ago, I got a chance to go to LA and I got to walk Venice Beach. And as I walked up and down Venice Beach, this is kind of the soundtrack that was in my head. This is like the type of, I don't know, that I don't, they might never play this music in Venice Beach. But I thought of like, this is like West Coast surfer,
Yeah.
a little bit of, yeah, that's my th thoughts on that one. And it's fine. It's not one of my favorites on on the album, but yeah, it brings a very different sound.
Yeah. Brandon, what about you?
so for me, I want everyone listening to this, I want you to like pause this, or maybe not finish listening to this, but later on go back. I feel like the beginning to this song sounded a lot like Everything Is Better by Hopeful, which is a song that came out like last year.
Okay.
So I feel like it was interesting to have like, oh, these songs like sound similar for them to be like
Yeah.
25 years apart. So that's just a random fact about it. But
Perfect.
people can tell me, Andrew can write in and tell me if I'm right or wrong. I liked it. I think it feels a little weird next to the other songs. Like I guess for me it felt like it kind of like stood out a little bit. But I mean maybe that's the whole thing of this album, is that it's kind of like taking those risks like that we often talk about. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have like the Hallelujah and all, where it's like, you know, stepping out and doing something that's a little bit different. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one. I think I don't know if you guys felt this way when you listened to it. Did it seem like it was a different person singing this song?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I looked it up and I'm like, did Matt Morginsky like sing this? And everywhere I could find online said yes, he did. But I'm like, the accent's gone. Like
Yeah.
it's completely different. And
Yeah.
I'm like, if this is like his like true voice stripped down, then he's like faking it on all those other songs. I don't
Yeah.
know. The funny thing is, there's another stripped down song later on the album,
Yeah.
and he sounds like he sounds on the rest of the album, just stripped down on that. So I'm almost convinced this is a different person singing this one, because it just feels different. So I don't know. That was my
Yeah.
biggest thought on this one, other than the fact that obviously it's a very different sounding song. I feel like there's an opportunity when you do like a song like this to incorporate some dynamics into what you're doing. And I will say, I do just kind of think it's one thing that the Supertones like struggle with a little bit is dynamics. I feel like and the lack of bridges like points to this. Like everything's kind of on like the same level, like throughout a song. And so I'd love to see them play more around with like, obviously there's dynamics to this record. You've got big songs and quiet songs, but I'd love to see some more dynamics within songs. So
That makes sense.
yeah. Next we move to Chase the Sun. Joel, did you find this song to be dynamic?
there were more dynamics in this one than
Yeah.
the other one. For a while on this track, the like ska guitar is missing. And I made a note that said, I don't miss the ska guitar. But this one has more of that rap feel again, which I was here for. It almost reminded me of like Beck in moments, and some of Beck's music, which I thought was cool. And so I kind of got into the vibe of this. Now the ska guitar came in eventually, but I kind of dug the vibe of Chase the Sun.
I remember, and it's still listening to it again just this past week. I remember being like expecting it to be more like grounded the way it starts, and like almost like, oh, good, here we go again, and then it doesn't. It doesn't get there or stay there, and so I think the buildup was awesome, and I just wanted it to rock harder during the song.
Yeah.
particularly since that's the name of the album, and so you're like, oh, this is going to be like the single or something maybe, and it just it never quite got there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell me to put my hands up, I will, and so I'll just dance around and throw my hands in the air because you told me to, and have a fun time with it.
There you go.
But yeah, so but it was honestly, there's not a lot. I don't. I mean, this album came out 25 years ago, whatever. Like, I don't think they care what we say. But like of the songs on here, this one probably disappointed me the most, just by what my expectations were
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
at the time, and listening to it again, being like, man, I just feel like this song could have been more. So
I think for me, I actually really liked it. It did feel like I wrote down I'd love to hear the song live, and I really liked like the gritty guitar, but I think that it did feel more like a like an interlude or something. Like it's kind of like it's something you play like at a concert when you're like introducing the like band.
Yeah.
Or it's like you're almost setting up for like something. I don't know. So yeah, I feel like it is like you expect like the title track to be something that's just like this is like the best track, or like it's memorable for some reason, but I feel like it's is more of just like a fun thing. So
yeah, I remember hearing an interview with Matt, their lead singer, and him always saying like, we always felt like we were more of a live band than we were a studio band. I think you could probably see that in some of these songs.
Yeah,
Like they
for
could
sure.
live
yeah.
that kind of get in a studio album. So I remember thinking they, really enjoying their live stuff back in the day.
Brandon, after you chased the sun, did it fade away?
Oh,
Track 10.
man.
I liked Fade Away a lot too.
Yeah.
I really like the guitar in this one. I feel like kind of go earlier when it's like, oh, a track you really like and you're followed up. But I felt like for this one, it like followed up, and I feel like you had like two tracks back to back that I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this.
That's cool. John?
I like Fade Away more than Chase the Sun. It does get you dancing, it gets you moving, it brings good energy. I remember repeating a lot of times in my own personal prayer life, I've never been less perfect than today. One of the lines from this song. I just resonated a lot with it at the time, and
Yeah.
probably still. Um, so there's things like that that really hold value to me in the song. Yeah, and I think they keep the energy up a little better than they do in Chase the Sun.
Yeah, that's good. Guys, there's a bridge on this song. They did it.
Finally, we got one.
Yeah, and that took this song like up for me in a pretty significant way. But and the chorus is good. It's epic. I feel like this song has some of the dynamic stuff that I was looking for early on. So yeah, I really like that one.
That's good. The next song,
Yeah.
I see that you wanted to take the name of this one. Hanani.
I think it's Hanani, maybe.
Hanani.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this one, John?
Oh, did we lose John? He's frozen, staring at us.
So,
Okay, there we go.
so Hanani is a Greek word, and so, or I mean, a Hebrew word, not a Greek word, a Hebrew word, and it just means like God is gracious. And so that's the theme of the song, and I love the idea of God being gracious to us. I kind of resonate with the honesty of the song here again. Again, a little bit of like a No Doubt vibe for me on this one. Again, I don't know if there's a certain way they're playing. Again, I don't know instruments well enough to tell you what they're doing, but when I listen to it, I get a little bit of that vibe as well on this one. And so, yeah, I think it's a pretty in general kind of a good three song back to back: Chase the Sun, Fade Away, and Hanani. Kind of keeping some energy and having some fun with some stuff here. So
Yeah, I looked up the same thing. I like the lyrics of this one a lot. I think musically it just felt kind of samey to me a little bit from some of the other stuff, but but I thought the lyrics were great. Yeah. Track number 12, Revolution. This is an instrumental that falls in here. Brandon.
I'm gonna be honest. It was a skip song when I was in high school, and it was a skip song.
You were not here for the
No.
surf rock instrumentals.
I guess if I was surfing, if I was at like a luau and I wanted some background music
Yeah.
at a luau, like I put it on. But there's no lyrics, and I didn't really have any other thoughts about it.
Yeah. This isn't, I don't think, the only surf rock instrumental that they do on albums. So there's more.
Yeah, I kept waiting for there to be lyrics. I was like, okay, here we go. Now we're gonna hit into it. But it didn't. I think for me, it did work. I think that out of the kind of like risk or whatever they've taken so far, I think this was the first one that I was like, okay, I like that. I like that it's like a little bit different. I like that it's instrumental. It did make me like wish that there was lyrics to it. Because I think the OC Supertones, there is a lot of strength in lyrics. And honestly, I think with them and Five Iron, like I could see why people are kind of like, oh, I don't like that side of the music, but I feel like lyrically, like there's a lot of strong stuff that goes on, like in there. So for me, I felt like musically, I liked it more than a lot of the songs, but I wished that it had some lyrics to it.
Yeah, I don't mind it as an instrumental. I like that there's different textures happening. Guitar playing is obviously different. There's organ. I just thought, man, if this is an instrumental, 3 minutes and 20 seconds is like too long for it. Yeah. And so I'm like, this could have been a minute. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it would have fit maybe a lot better than 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So
I probably wouldn't have skipped it if it was only a minute.
Yeah. I get that.
Gotcha. Next we have Health and Wealth. John, what do you think about Health and Wealth?
Yeah, I mean, another high energy song. I remember having I remember listening to the lyrics of this one and kind of, again, you don't know what you don't know when you're a teenager, particularly when you grow up in the United States, and kind of opening my eyes to the consumerism and the wealth that I just had taken for granted in the United States and being an American. And I think that was it was a helpful song for me during that time to kind of, again, cut my teeth and start on trying to wrestle with what does it look like to be a Christian in America with a prosperity gospel that's being preached and with the resources that we have available. And so for that reason, it was a song that I remember looking back on and playing often, just thinking about the lyrics and processing what that meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of dig into that like contrast between the American church and global Chinese church, whatever it may be there. So I thought the message of this one was really good. I think I'm just worn out on like the like sound of this record at this point on track 13. I like some of the different stuff that's happening, but I feel like there's just a lot of cohesion. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed it. I felt like it was a cool this like protest song going on. I think for me, I'm a lot like John, that I think that bands like this, they were the first people to kind of like put that stuff into perspective.
Sure.
So I think for me, it was kind of a highlight just because this is the stuff that I was expecting. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, oh, okay, like this is getting me excited for the end of the album.
I think it's hard for me, like, I guess at this stage in my life, like if this had been something I'd listened to when it came out,
Yeah.
I would have been a sophomore in college and I probably would have been challenged by it. I certainly know Five Iron Frenzy challenged me so much in so many different ways. And so I do think like that yeah, that's a huge thing to think through and consider. So, all right.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge that I have, and I know it's not, we don't have time to get into it. Maybe there's another time we can talk about it, but just thinking back on it, and I think that there are some challenging things that they were saying and ways that they were trying to help the church to grow. I just am more worried now. I was a 17, 18-year-old that was listening to this. These guys were 22, 23-year-old surfers that like playing ska music. And this was like gospel to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem, like in general, I'm glad that there was music out there for me to think that causes me to think. It's one of the reasons why I love Five Iron is some of the songs that they played introduced me to topics and things that I just had never thought about before. I mean, Fahrenheit on the all the
Yeah.
hype.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff I had never thought about or considered. And now Five Iron's talking about it and Freddie Mercury, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I guess I got to think about this stuff.
Mm.
So I like that a band does that. I just think we need to be equally careful, recognizing that like there are also kids that don't have seminary degrees and
Yeah.
like doing the best they can to write music, but we got to be careful with what we're, how much attention we're paying to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Really good point. All right. Let's talk about the last track, Refuge. Brandon, what do you think about Refuge?
You know, I a lot of times I talk about how an album needs to end on a really like exciting note, and I hate when it ends on like a lighter note. But I think for this one, it actually worked really well, ending on like this slower kind of like acoustic like note. So I feel like that was definitely, I think like props to the album is that they ended it that way. And I enjoyed it. I felt like if this is a concert, I think that I'd be happy like with that ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's another risk that for me actually worked out really well that it ended kind of on this like lighter side.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. John, what do you think?
Yeah, similarly, I mean, we're just gonna go back to Five Iron a lot here, if that's all right. But I think my favorite song on the Five Iron, some of the albums, like Every New Day and World
Yeah.
Without End, are two of my favorite songs they've done, and those are album closing songs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, I look forward to that, like seeing if you like saved your best for last type of thing. And this is very different. This is like Good Riddance from Green Day. Like that just this feels like, you know what I mean? It kind of has that vibe. And so I think it fits. There's a time and a place for that. Is it the best ending song of an album ever? Maybe not, but I really enjoy it. And I think you're right, Brandon. It's a risk that they took in making this their last song, and it pays off all right. I'm okay with it. Again, I like the lyrics, and it's a different. They definitely, although Joel, you're right. There's 13 tracks on this, and a lot of them do sort of meld together. They took some risks on a couple of songs here, and this is
Yeah.
another one of them where it's definitely different than when you think of OC Supertones, Refuge is not the song you think about.
Yeah.
I like that they have songs like that in their repertoire.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this one works for me too. And it might be my favorite song on the album. I don't know what that
Why am I
says.
not surprised by that?
And I like several of the songs on this, but there's just something about this that works really well, and it's definitely the simplest song on the whole record. The vocals are pretty loud, even for a track like this, comparatively, which I probably normally wouldn't be into. But I love the strings that hit in, and yeah, I think it works. It works for me, so I was into it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Well,
made-
let's kind of wrap up. Like, what are closing thoughts you guys have on this? We can get into our ratings and stuff a little bit, but yeah. What'd you think about this as a whole? Brandon, why don't you go first?
Go first.
Mm.
Yeah, I think for me, it was definitely kind of like I guess, experiencing OC Supertones, like instead of a greatest hits album or a playlist, like experiencing how they put together their album. So I think that there was the stuff that I really appreciate, like I really expected and I really enjoyed on there. I think there was some of the risk that like kind of just felt too, I don't know, like I said, I think with ska, sometimes it's almost like I think I said this before on here, but I equate it to almost like a musical. Like there's people that when they watch a musical and they're like, that's powerful. That's like, it changed my life. Whereas for me, it's like, when you have this guy that's like, how am I going to pay the bills? My wife is sick, but then 40 people start singing and do perfect choreography. I'm immediately like, nope, this is just a movie. This really isn't like, his wife's not really sick. And I think for me, ska sometimes does that, is that like, I can't get past just like that, like almost like generic, I guess I would say, like for ska. But I mean, I think all in all, it was a good album, and I feel like for me, it sits at like a 3.5, I'd say.
It's pretty good for a record that you just made the comments you made about.
I feel like whenever I give reviews, no one ever knows, because I feel like I sit there and say like, this album changed my life, 1 star. This album, man,
Yeah.
I hated it, got really angry, 5 stars.
That's great. I love it. I love it. John, for you, where does it sit, man? What are your thoughts?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And I think, again, I probably have to separate the music and the songs from the nostalgia. Um, if you're going purely on nostalgia, it's like a 4.5. Just because, as I said, I felt like there was some lyrics in the song, in many of the songs that were very,
Mm.
very important to me as a
Yeah.
kid who was
Yeah.
trying to figure out who he was and what his faith was all about, getting strong in my faith and things like that. I think as I said, I don't currently still listen to ska music very often, so I don't know how much the musicality stands up, but I still enjoy just having high energy. It's good. Some of the songs on here, I have like a playlist when I go for a run or work out at the gym.
Yeah.
And some of these songs like Grounded playlist because they're great for going for runs and for working out
Mhm.
and still to this day. So there's things like that. So I'll probably go, I maybe go a little higher, Brandon, like a 3.75.
Mhm.
Maybe some, I don't know that I'd go a full four here. Um, but it is, at least for me, one of the top, 5 to 10 albums, that I would go back to on a regular basis just as a core memory.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And still love that I know all the lyrics to every song.
Yeah.
There's something about that still is fun for me.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it was fun for me to dig back into.
Thanks for letting
It was fun for me to dig back into this one and really kind of experience it fully, because I don't know if I ever had before listened to it from kind of start to finish. And so I was thankful to get to do that. And while I missed Metallica riffs, and I do think the album would probably benefit from not being 14 songs.
Mhm.
I think that when you are in a situation with a band like this, making music like this, you already are going to run into like a tendency for, kind of like I've said, things to get kind of samey. And so I think that there maybe are a couple of those tracks that I would maybe cut that I think would benefit the album overall, just making it not feel that way. But I really liked a lot of the things that happened, and I love some of the callbacks to older Supertone stuff that I was into. I love some of the really simple stuff. I love that they did a bridge, and so I think for me, this one's probably going to sit with all of my mathematical equations at a 3.25. So, sorry, guys.
Those are all respectable. Yeah, sorry about that, right? I mean, 2.5 is average. It's above average. There's things you liked about it.
Yeah.
and I think that that's fine. Again, we're talking. This was a small era where this type of music was very popular,
Yeah.
and there's probably a reason why it's not still popular anymore. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that's probably fair.
Yeah, I think that they've done a few things lately, the Supertones, and so
Yeah, I feel like they pop up every now and then.
yeah, doing some stuff, which is kind of fun. All right, well, let's transition and talk about our lyric of the week.
It's time for the lyric of the. It's time.
So the lyric of the week this week comes from the song "In Between." Please allow me to introduce me. Half of me slave, the other half free. Righteous and sinful, both at the same time. Iniquity and purity fill up the same mind. And out of the same mouth, the holy and profane, I curse all my brothers, then I bless Christ's name. I hang in the balance, but still I'm secure. I'm leaning towards evil, but striving to be pure.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. Yeah, kind of a new way to say.
I actually been wondering what lyric it would be like all day. What's he gonna choose? That was a good one. I like that. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I really love it. I really love it. Cool. Well, John, thank you so much, man, for hanging out with us and joining us. This has been really fun. I know it's something we've been trying to make happen, and I'm thankful that we finally got to have you on with us. So
Totally agree. Thank you guys for spending some time with me today. If next time I get to be in the area, maybe I can pop in person. That might be better. But yes, very thankful for the opportunity to be the #1 fan and finally get on.
We'll
I'm sure there's other fans that want to fight me right now. That's okay.
probably not.
we'll bring whenever we do our live recording at a Bojangles, we'll bring John, so he really just gets the full experience.
Yes, yeah. Sponsored by
Please.
Bojangles.
I want that.
That'd
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Cool. Well, and thanks to you guys for hanging out with us and listening as well. Remember, you can find us online. Hey, are you listening on Facebook? You can email us at heyareyoullisteningpod@gmail.com. We're just thankful that you take the time to listen every week, and look forward to hanging out with you next week.
Hey, are you listening?